Hi, welcome back to ICE. In this video, we're going to look at the how-to on usability testing with a focus on empirical testing methods. Well, with empirical testing, we invite users to come in to test our system. And before starting the test, we want to explain to the participant what the test is about and what they're going to do. And of course, we might have to sign a consent agreement and so on, as well as help them to understand what the protocol would be, what they would be doing. For instance, while using the system, they should be thinking aloud. So before the test, we want all the participants to answer a set of questions. We might even have a pre-test questionnaire and then a post-test questionnaire. But we want participants to be comfortable with the procedures. So during the test, we might measure the time that they take to perform the task. We might try and look at what errors they did when they were performing a task, or unexpected actions that users might do, system features that they might use or they might not have used, and what difficulties they have found or what was easy to use, and bugs and failures. So we are looking for these things. And certainly we are recording their patterns, which links that they clicked on, and their navigation and browsing behavior, and we're recording their experiences as we go, what they're saying to themselves. So we want to watch participants carefully, especially if they are having difficulties, and maybe even take short breaks as we go. And after the test, normally we interview the participants, we ask them to fill in a questionnaire, and of course we have to then ensure that they realize that they are being videotaped. Okay, let's look at a few examples. So there are links to a couple of videos here. The first video, I'll leave you to look at it in your own time, which has more information about the process. And then we're going to look at two examples.
So Amelia, thank you very much for being here for this usability test today. We're planning a brand new website for kids and we'd like your help. For your help today, I've got a special present for you after we finish. You see it? You'll get it when we're done. And this shouldn't take more than about 30 minutes. If you need to take a break at any time, just let me know and we can take a break, okay?
Okay.
Before we begin, I'd like to ask you a few questions. First, how often do you go online?
Every day.
Every day. Okay. What websites do you go to?
The Junior.
And what's your favorite website?
PBS Kids.
Oh, so there's more than one website you like?
Yeah.
Does mommy and daddy let you go online anytime you want?
Not anytime.
Oh, okay. So when do you get to go online?
If Mommy says yes, I can. If she says no, I can't.
Oh, okay. This pen will be your mouse. Why don't you take it? Great. If you want to click on something, just tap on it with your pen. So, what do you think about this website?
It is great.
It's great. What's great about it?
I like the word.
What do you think you can do from here?
I can do games, coloring pages, and videos.
Great. Okay, thank you. I want you to remember that you came here to find pages to color in. Okay? Alright? So that's what I'd like you to do, is find some pages to color in. What would you do?
I could click on here.
Great. Okay. Well, when you click on there, it takes you to a page like this. Is this what you expected?
Yes.
What do you think you can do from here?
I can click on the buttons.
And what would that do?
Take you to coloring pages.
Oh, okay, what would you want to click on? Triceratops?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. You like all of them?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So, let's go to the kitty one, okay? So that brings you to this page. Is this what you expected?
Yes.
What do you think you can do from here?
You can color it like this.
Oh, okay, great. So let's try that again. You touched over here first, right?
Mm-hmm.
So can you do that again? Let's do it very slowly. Click on yellow. Now let me give you a yellow marker now. There you go. And you click. Where would you do next?
Then I could do.
You click there. Okay.
So this is quite interesting. You notice that the kid was able to know that she has to click on the color first before starting to color the drawing. And you might not have expected the user to be able to do that.
If you click there, this would become yellow, and that would become yellow, like that.
Yeah.
Okay. What else would you do? Great. Now, is this the best cat picture there is?
Wait.
You clicked on blue, then what? All right.
Wait. There's just one more thing. It's the print button.
And what do you think would happen then?
I-
Okay.
See?
Do you think are these all the kitty pages?
There is an arrow too.
Oh, what would that bring you to?
Another. Now I'm going to click on the things and I'll color.
Okay. Your favorite thing about coloring online is what? A lot of fun. Wow. What's better? Is Nick Jr. better or is this better?
This.
Why is this better?
Because. Yes.
It does? But sprinkles make it. No? Well, you've been fantastic. Thank you so much. And I'm going to get you your present, okay?
Okay, here's another website. So this is a food website, and the user is asked to perform particular tasks using that website.
You have decided to order a pizza and have it delivered. Starting from the Ames campusfood.com page given, order a pizza from Valentino's. You want a large pizza with pepperoni and sausage and some breadsticks on the side.
Yes, I do. Alright, let's see here. Domino's, gummies, happy goes, Chef's Pizza, get it? Valentino's. You made an order.
Hey, Justin.
Oh my god, this is tiny. 16-piece large special. I just want a normal pizza, right?
Yes.
I remember. Okay. Let's see. Well, these are specials. I want specials. I don't want them to go either way.
So notice that the user is deliberately thinking out loud.
Let's see here. Family value. Well, I'm not a fan. Alright, forget it. We'll go. I can eat a 16-inch pizza. What do you think I wanted pepperoni for however much that is. Here. Add item. Okay, let's see if I can get the breadsticks. Right. I'm done, right?
Yeah.
I ordered everything I want?
Yes.
Okay. Check out. I need an email and password. R.O'Neill at Allen.
No, you're okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Examples, and you can certainly watch the full video, but it gives you an idea of how to conduct usability testing with users. Once you have collected the data, the users have filled in a questionnaire, you can then analyze the data, and you can do a task-based analysis. So for given tasks, how did users perform in that task? So you may have one or more users performing the same task, and then the performance-based analysis. So given a particular user performing multiple tasks, how did that particular user do? So when you analyze questionnaires, there are a number of different types of questionnaires that you can develop. So it also depends on the type of data that you want to collect that will help your analysis. So it could be a 3-point scale like this: yes, don't know. It could be a Likert scale where there's a gradations in terms of agreement. For instance, a 6-point scale or Likert scale as mentioned. And there could be further gradation. So for instance, you can have a grid like this where you can say extremely easy, extremely clear, extremely useful, or quite easy, quite clear, quite useful, slightly easy, slightly clear, slightly useful, and so on. So the idea of these skills is to try and get better feedback from the user who otherwise might not know how to actually give required feedback. So once you get all this, you can calculate the mean, standard deviation across a number of different users and try and get an idea of how good the software is. And once the questionnaire has been given to the selected population, so you can choose different categories of users, measures over different categories of users. And there are a number of strategies for analyzing the questionnaires, depending on the objectives that you want to have. Could be a top-down analysis, and a top-down idea is you have questions that relate to the general impression of the website, and then you try and narrow down on particular strengths or narrow down particular weaknesses. So start off with a general questions to get a general impression of the website. So that's the top-down approach. And this is an approach that involves a number of questions like this: the best, worst aspects. So have the user go through the system, make use of the system, maybe do a couple of tasks, and then look at the best or worst aspects of the system, things which are difficult to understand. So it's a general impression, and then from there try to narrow down on specific issues. That's the idea of the top-down approach. So based on the questions, there are certain specific aspects that you might want to be able to address. You can also have a bottom-up approach where from specifics to inferring the general impression of the system. So the choice of strategies just depends on the context of the evaluation, your goal, and in the early design process, you might have a kind of a bottom-up approach perhaps. In the early stage of the process, you may only have the different components, and you can evaluate the different components separately and then try and get an overall impression of the system. So bottom-up approach. So you evaluate individual components and add up to form an overall impression of the system. Or whereas in the later stages, you might use a top-down approach. When the system is already up, you can start with the system as a whole and then narrow down on components. So what influences the choice of strategies? Well, is which stage you are in terms of the development of the system. One thing to keep in mind is that there are differences among users, and so it may be useful to get some information about the user beforehand, for example, or how often they use the internet, for instance, or how often they use the web. And based on that, it tells you something about why there are differences between users, if there are. You want to know whether the difficulties are due to the user's own background or is it because of the interface itself. And then you try and find out the reasons for the differences. Right? Is it the background of the users, and so on. And sometimes the order of the task may be important. So if you change the order of the task, the users might be able to do better. So if you got different users providing different test results, right? So it seems to work better for certain users than others. It's important to try and find out why. You can still use usability testing for that, to evaluate systems, to determine your choice of purchase. So, and when you do that, you also want to look at differences in test results. Is it because some people are more familiar with certain ways of interacting with the system than others? With a large number of user groups, it can be pretty useful. So some users may have found problems, some may not. And we're going to see later on that 5 seems to be an interesting number. And sometimes if you go with more than 5 users, may not be useful, right? There's this whole question of how many users do you need to test the system with before you can be satisfied. The more users you use, of course, the more errors that you can pick out, but you find that if you already have a couple of users, they already picked out a large percentage of the errors. So it's no point having too many users, right? Because the incremental benefit of each additional tester becomes less, right? Because the first user might be able to point out 50% of the errors. Another user might point out another 20% of the errors. A third user might point out another 20%, and then the fourth user maybe another 10%, and the fifth user doesn't have many more errors to point out. And quite interestingly, Jakob Nielsen, who's one of the gurus in usability testing, one of the pioneers, as far back as 2000, said that maybe 5 users is enough. And you can see from this graph here, right? So the number of problems or usability problems found will tend to decrease with each user, right? So by the time you get to 5 users, which is around here, you have already identified 80% of the errors. And each additional user after the 5 users will only identify a small percentage of the problems.